The FedLife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the FedLife podcast. If you don't know me yet, I'm your host, Dan Sipe, additional to the branch manager here at Serving Those Who Serve at Lee Sipe & Associates. I'm actually the founder, Serving Those Who Serve. And I want to begin, as I always do, by saying thank you. First off, thank you for taking the time to watch or listen. And above all, thank you for your service to the government, to the country, to me, to everyone. You don't hear it enough, but you will always hear it here. The other person you always hear here is Ed Zerndorfer. Yes, the guru is back with us once again as part of our ongoing mission to reach, teach, and serve you, the career civilian Fed. If you're regular, you know, one of the things we like to do is follow Ed's Fed Zone articles. So if you go over to the Fed Zone right now, you will find today's topic. And as I like to say, Ed's already taken your notes for you. So you can listen to this and follow along with that. But above all, it's one more way for us to reach and teach. So today it is covering something that comes up during tax season, and hopefully it never happens to you. But what happens when you realize you made a mistake on your federal income tax return? Can you fix it? How can you fix it? What are the rules? Are we in trouble? Ed, help us. What are the answers?
No, you're not going to be in trouble. But you have to take action. You have to take action. Invariably, it happens. As Dan, as you know, I have accounting and tax practice. Invariably, I get after tax season, I get emails, I get phone calls. Ed, you did my taxes. I was so happy. I submitted my return. I got my refund. I'm so happy. But then what happened? Last week, I get a corrected 1099 from the brokerage. What do I do? They're going to come after me. I said, no. After tax season, we're going to file what's called an amended return. Amended return to fix the return. Don't worry. There's no problem. I said, well, aren't they going to check the return right away? He says, not necessarily. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. It's called an amended federal income tax return, IRS Form 1040-X. It happens.
Gotcha. Now, you go on to list the most common reasons people file amended returns: changes in filing status, income, deductions, credits, dependents, tax liability. But before someone starts down that road, are there situations where they actually don't need to file the amended return at all?
Yes. If it's a mathematical error, they made a mathematical error when they prepared the return. Invariably, this happens when it comes to doing paper returns. I don't know what a paper return is. I've been filing electronically. I'd be computerized for the past 26 years. But anyhow, there are people who still do the paper returns, and they had a math error. IRS will pick that up, send them a notice, correct the return, and there's no need to file an amended return. Now, if they're due a refund, the amount of refund that they were originally was due to them will be reduced if they have a math error. That is, they did not add correctly, they didn't subtract correctly, something, there's an error. IRS will fix the refund, and if they owe money, they'll have to owe more money. There might be some interest charges. But the IRS will tell them what they owe. There's no need to file an amended return.
Gotcha. So let's talk about deadlines, because IRS loves those. And if someone files an amended return, let's say hoping to get a refund for a prior year, how long do they have? And does that deadline apply no matter what the situation?
Yes, if they are due a refund, they can file they have to file their amended return within 3 years of the original due date of the tax return. Or if they filed, they filed during at a later date, during the tax season, after the tax season, they have 2 years from the date that they file the return, whatever comes out earlier, up to 2 years or 3 years of the original file date, or 2 years from when they originally filed their return. If they're due a refund,
Gotcha.
So what that means, Dan, is that the statute of limitations for filing an amended return to get a refund is still open for 2023, 2024, and 2025 returns. The deadline for filing an amended return for 2022 return, in order to get a refund, is April 15th, 2026. I know I'm not supposed to mention the date here, but as we're speaking, today is April 15th, 2026. So obviously, if you haven't filed that amended return yet, you're not going to. So what's going to happen if you do a refund? You'll lose the refund because you didn't file within the statute of limitations. That's just if you do a refund. But if you have a balance due when it comes to filing when you have to file an amended return, there is no statute of limitations.
Wow. Okay, so let's dig into it a little bit. Can you explain what that means practically for someone who discovers they underpaid in a prior year?
Yeah, they're going to have to file an amended return, and probably it's best to use a tax professional in this because
Sure.
they're going to owe they have to pay the taxes that are due when they amend the return, and they're going to be subject to interest charges. Interest charge imposes interest on the amount due, and it's by year over time. So the further back you go, like if you have to amend the 2013 tax return, you're talking now about 13 years worth of interest, in addition to what you owe on the balance due.
Gotcha. Now, let's say one of our feds is amending returns for more than 1 year. Do they file one amended return covering multiple years, or is there a specific process they need to follow?
No, the procedure is you have to file an amended return only for 1 year at a time. 1 year at a time.
Okay, makes sense. Got it. Now, Ed, in the article, you strongly recommend filing amended returns electronically. Can you walk us through why that's the better option, and are there any limitations on which years can be amended electronically?
Yeah, the reason I recommend electronically is that IRS is really, for the past couple of years, has been really, since COVID, has discouraging paper returns.
Sure.
Paper returns. Number one, the mail. Sometimes it can be very shaky, the mail. Number two, the IRS centers, the service centers, have been cut back. There are fewer people there. Somebody may not be there to accept the return. The return has to be entered, by hand. A lot of reasons. It slows the process up. When it comes to electronic filing, it's so much more efficient. And if you filed your return the original return electronically, by filing the amended return, by filing an amended return electronically, if you're due a refund, it'll be much quicker, rather than waiting for a paper check, which the IRS does not issue paper checks anymore. And if you have a balance due, you don't have to worry about writing a check out to the IRS. Checks have been stolen in the mail. Maybe the return, when you're filing the amended return, you have a balance due, and you write them a check for the balance due. Nobody there maybe receive it. It may take time for them to deposit the check. The interest charges are going to keep rolling. So for a variety of reasons, filing your return electronically, your original return as well as the amended return, is highly recommended. Highly recommended.
Gotcha. And, Ed, you mentioned that IRS now wants you to remit things electronically too. Is that something our Fed should have any concerns about? I'm linking my checking account to the IRS.
No, I don't think so. It's very safe. I mean, if you're doing your own return, something like TurboTax and so on, I have not run into anyone who had a problem, and they had, in terms of checks, in terms of debiting accounts. IRS wants to know your account number. I make all my estimated tax payments for the payments. Everything's done electronically. I don't write checks out it's through the EFTPS, electronic payment taxpayer system. Very, very secure. Individuals do not have to worry about that.
Gotcha. And you mentioned there's also a new direct deposit option for amended return refunds that started in 2023. How does that work and why does it matter?
Before 2023, individuals who filed an amended return received their amended return refund with a paper check. According to the IRS, it added time to the whole process. Now, the IRS since 2023, IRS has allowed individuals who electronically file a return to direct deposit of their refund from the amended return, just like they do with the original return. So it's much safer. As I said, I think it was last September, the government decided not to issue paper checks in general, Social Security checks. No one's getting paper checks anymore, and that includes refunds. Everything is done electronically. In fact, if you just tell the IRS that you want your refund via paper, you're going to get a notice. There's going to be a big delay, maybe up to 4 months before you're going to get any type of a check. 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
That's a long way.
Gotcha. Let's go back to something you touched on earlier, Ed, and that's math errors. So if someone catches a simple math mistake on their return, they shouldn't necessarily jump right on filing an amended return to correct it?
Yeah, because the IRS will catch that. They will catch that. Especially if they're using software, chances are pretty small they have a math error. But if you're doing a paper return, yeah, it's possible they can have a math error, and IRS will catch that. We'll catch that pretty quick and notify you via letter from the IRS that we found a mistake. This in your return, it was a math error. Your adjusted gross income is wrong. Your taxable income is off. Therefore, your tax liability is adjusted. And if the math error you're due a refund, they will just decrease the amount of the refund. So
Gotcha.
One should not file an amended return, because when you file the amended return, that assumes that you got the refund. You got the refund, when in fact you really did not. So you should not file an amended return if you know for sure it's a math error.
Okay, makes sense. Now, Ed, you did something else in the article that I'm so happy you did, and that is you have a really strong warning in the article about scams related to the IRS. And you mentioned a lot of federal employees receive official-looking communications and may not know what's legitimate and what's not. Can you talk that through for our folks?
Yeah, usually these correspondence, sometimes it's email. It looks official from the IRS. IRS does not send any correspondence to taxpayers via email. Let's get clear about that. IRS will only send correspondence to individuals via U.S. mail. Usually it's certified mail, return receipt, so you know it's official. But there are people out there, scams, in which the IRS has duplicated IRS software. And when someone gets such a letter, it does not look legitimate. Number one, call IRS. Talk to, your tax professional before, you talk to a tax professional. I had somebody across the street. It's not my client, and she came here, can I ask you a question? I got this correspondence from IRS. Does this look legitimate? And no, it's not. It does not. It's totally, they made up stuff. I mean, the same thing has happened with Social Security. They're sending out the correspondence. I got an email from Social Security. There's a question on your Social Security payment. We need to talk to you. Can you go into your account? Delete it. It's an ongoing problem, Dan. When in doubt, call IRS, ask them, did you send us a letter? They'll probably say no. But it's just so scary how they can duplicate some of what's going on.
I agree. So I'm glad you put that warning in. And finally, Ed, for someone who's sitting at home right now listening and wondering if they need to amend their recently filed 2025 return, what's your best practical advice on where to start and when to bring in a tax professional?
Individuals who are contemplating filing amended return should be sure to read the Form 1040X. They should look at the Form 1040X. And if they don't understand anything, then you need to go to a tax professional. And especially when you have a complicated situation. Now, if we're talking about amending one's 2025 income taxes, you may want to wait a little bit until April 15th. If you're going to go to a tax professional, because I'm sure for the next 2 weeks after April 15th, most tax professionals are going to just get a breath of fresh air. I have one client who got a corrected 1099 DIV in late March after we filed the return, and he said, "When do I have to amend my return?" I said, "It looks like you do, but I'm not going to do it until after May 1st because I'm taking a breather for the next 2 weeks."
Absolutely. Well deserved. And folks, I just want to take a moment here. We're the only folks putting this stuff out, and that's why the podcast is called FedLife, because there's a lot of things that happen in your life. And I always roll my eyes when I see Facebook ads and things like that for 1 hour webinar teaches you everything you need to know as a Fed. Nonsense. There's a lot to it. And that's why we take the time to do these things. And Ed, this is exactly the kind of guidance that the federal employees need and simply can't find anywhere else. Every tax season creates anxiety for so many Feds, and you have laid a clear, calm roadmap for navigating it. So on behalf of all Feds, thank you for that.
My pleasure. I just want to mention an example of that. I have a client, he's a retired federal employee, and he got that corrected 1099 from his brokerage. And there was a letter that came with it saying that, according to our information, you will not have to change your tax return. There's different numbers on there because we determined that based on the dividends are paid, the dividends are not federally taxable. But for your state, it might be different. Or go to your accountant and ask your accountant what to do. And tell you the truth, Dan, I find that to be very unprofessional. They should not be giving out tax advice. They should sit from the start. Talk to your accountant as far as the federal taxability and the state taxability. We do not give out tax advice. So you got to listen to, and again, taxes are there. Taxes have to be paid. And again, if you're overwhelmed in terms of preparing your tax return, go to a tax professional and depend on them for advice. And it's especially important when you are a retiree. You're a retiree. There are a lot of complicated issues involved in retirement.
Wise counsel, my friend. As I've said before, I don't know how you keep it all straight, but I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do it with us, and I'm glad you do it for our Feds. Folks, that is a wrap. We are serving those who serve. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Seriously, please do so on our YouTube channel or Spotify. Please remember to share it with friends and even throw in a couple of strangers. Don't miss our live webinars every single week. Just head over to swserve.com. You'll see the webinar button up in the top right-hand corner. Click it. That's going to open up the landing page. There's the whole menu. Yes, the guru will come to you. Reach you where you are, teach you where you are, and above all, serve you where you are. Sign up for one, sign up for all, and share it with friends. I guarantee they will thank you if you do that. Be sure to read Ed every single week in the Fed Zone. That's fed-zone.com. So signing off for Ed, the crew at Serving Those Who Serve, and me, Dan Sipe, I'm going to say what I always say. Good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it's your Fed life. Make it a great one because you deserve it. Stay well, everybody. We are out.